Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear participants and our speaker today. I take this opportunity to welcome you to our third episode. We are going to talk about business financing. Here we are talking about for startups, small and enterprise SMEs, enterprises, and also we expand more on the context of a larger option of financing for our businesses. My name is Kelvin 𝐿𝐾𝐒, the Chief Communication Officer of Sustainable Africa. I'm going to moderate this session today with my colleague Sifau Nasiru, and I take this opportunity to welcome all members and participants that will be open to learn, ask questions, and at the end, practice what we learn from our sessions. So I would wish to take this opportunity to welcome our speaker who is already here. She is Chaima Malek. She's passionate about entrepreneurship and innovation. Chaima started her professional career early in life, working with the startups and then into venture capital firms. She's eager and always proud to contribute to African ecosystems and aid entrepreneurs securing funds and also grow their businesses. So, without much ado, I would wish to welcome her and um, ask her to pour the wisdom without limit to us today. Welcome so much, Chaima Malek.
Hey, Kelvin, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. I would be more than pleased and happy to contribute to African ecosystem.
Thank you.
Should we wait for more participants to join, or we could start so that I can share my screen and we go ahead? I suggest we wait for another 5 minutes. It's Saturday, so I think people are still
Yeah,
uh,
sure. We can
right.
we can give other participants about 5 minutes as you also prepare your presentation.
Yeah, my presentation is ready, so I'll share my screen
Okay.
in approximately
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great, Calvin.
Meanwhile, members, you requested to ask your questions, send your comments in our chat box. Also share your where you're speaking from, where you are listening, and where you're learning from. As for me, I'm learning from Mombasa cities in Kenya. That is where I'm speaking from. And you can also tell us in the chat box what you do, your social media details, so that we follow each other. We not only learn here, we connect, and through connection we are able to fast track our achievement in terms of, and also seeking guidance and advice and support from friendship that we create from here. So as for me, I am a communication strategist. I have worked in the film industry. I have taught at university communication. I am I do extensive writing in agriculture, gender equality, youth empowerment, children rights, and climate action. So that is what I do. For the rest of the colleagues here and participants, you can share with us on our chat box or in our chat box. So,
Hello, good morning, everyone.
good morning, Sifau.
Hey, Sifao.
I hope you all can hear me. Good morning, ma. It's nice to have you here. My name is Sifau Nasiro, and I'm a student, an advocate for SDGs and also a guest speaker ambassador. I'm glad we'll be exploring more options on business finance And before others get to join us, I just want to inform that I will be dropping a link for the Entrepreneurial Talks series where they get to join us on our WhatsApp group, have more information on the various topics we'll be discussing, and also information concerning the certificates and the end of the webinar series. So I will urge us all to tap on the link and join our WhatsApp group. I will be dropping it shortly. And if there's another other attendees who want to introduce themselves or share their ideas, they can actually just open their mic and let us know. I'll just be dropping the link now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sifao is my colleague, and she's going to um, moderate alongside myself so that we make this session very, very interactive. So, one thing I want to remind ourselves is that we are not being lectured, it is an interactive session, so we can interact with our speaker or presenter as much as we can. So, I think we can start, Shaima, so that
Yes.
others can find us on the way.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. But I think when I share my screen, I won't be able to see the chat, uh, to see your questions. So would you please, Kelvin, just stop me when there is a question, and I'll
Definitely, I
I'll
will
see it
be
and try
checking
to
the
answer.
inbox. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be better because if I'm going to share, I won't be able to see any of the chat.
okay.
Okay. So welcome everyone. I'm really, really excited and happy to do this webinar with you. And please feel free to drop in your questions in the chat or just take the lead and open your mic and go ahead. I'll be happy to welcome any question, and don't feel intimidated if you feel like the question is not so good. Just go ahead and let's do it together. I really want to make this session interactive more than just me giving you information about how to fundraise for your business. So please feel free to ask whatever you want, and to even to give me information I might have skipped, or I would like to learn from you as much as you're gonna learn from me.
Can,
Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you well.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So just passing by, I don't like introducing myself that much, but so I'm a venture capitalist. I've started my professional journey working with startups, mainly Tunisian startups. Then I transitioned to the investor perspective. Let's say I went from the micro environment of the startup, and I just decided to devote my career to the investment field. So I worked with Flat Six Labs, a venture capital fund tailored for the MENA region startups, seed, pre-seed stage. And then I worked with Africa Invest within the VC fund also, which is targeted to Series A, Series B startups in whole Africa. So yes, and for the next 9 months, I will be based in Dubai. So in case any one of you is attending one of the ecosystem startup events, or is networking or in contact or wants to settle in one of the Gulf MENA region zones. So I will be there, and I will be happy to, I don't know, to be your go-to person for some tips or advice. Yeah. So before starting, I would really love to know who's attending today. So I would be happy if you could share on the chat, or you just open your mic and you tell me what do you do, whether you're a student or what are your business is about, at which state is your product service. Also, why are you here today? Why did you wake up like on Saturday morning to listen to this webinar? What do you want to gain, so that I can try my best to meet your expectations to this webinar. And I'm really interested in knowing if you have a business. So at what stage your business is. Is it an idea, prototype? Did you launch? Did you scale? So I can better tailor my piece of advice. I'll skip the presentation a bit. So let's say we give it 3 minutes so that I can know who's attending today. If you don't want to write in the chat, just open your mic and go ahead. I see Helmi here. Helmi, do you want to go ahead and introduce your friend yourself? So Helmi is a friend that worked with me at the very beginning of my journey in Want to Trip startup.
Seems like there is a connection problem to the colleague that you have introduced.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's okay.
Perhaps you can continue.
Okay.
As much
Yeah,
as
let's go ahead. Yeah, it's okay. Pantana, compartir. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, at the very beginning of this session, I wanted to just start by the fact that if you're gonna raise funding for your business, then it's very important to ask yourself three questions: the why, when, and how much. Because regardless of where your startup is, whether you're in pre-seed stage, seed, pre-series A, series A, whatever, we know that you would need money at every step to scale your business. But then why would you need this money, and when exactly you should think about raising money, and the exact amount really matters. So the why, when working on your pitch deck or on approaching investors in events or whatever, LinkedIn, any type of channel, the first question that the investor would ask you is, why are you raising? So where is my will my money go? And here, basically, it would go to funding operations, sales, marketing. You're launching a new product. You would like to market your service. You aim to hire new people within your team. And second goal for why you have to raise is making strategic partnerships. So this is something very important because many startup owners just look for raising money and having more money in their startup. And this is not the goal behind having an investor in your back. So the investor have to offer more than money, because if he's taking equity in your business, he has to offer more expertise, network, connect you to industry connections. So this has to be your why, not just having money in your business. And then the when is very critical. If the market is not if the market conditions are not favorable to raise money, then why would you raise? And why would you raise for a small valuation that doesn't represent the potential of your business? uh, and lose this chance. So basically, you have to make sure your product and service is ready, is market ready. You are ready to pitch yourself, pitch your potential, so that you're not just telling a story. An investor would say, "Oh, I don't feel this entrepreneur is ready to hit the market." And then the perfect timing is you identify the market conditions are good. There are no crisis coming over, no big inflation hitting the market in some specific country, and then you can think about doing it. And then you just raise before a major milestone. Let's say, as we said in the why here, you raise before launching a new product, before expanding to a new geography, or just after hitting a significant revenue. So let's say you had a revenue target of $300 million, 300K dollars, let's say, for February month, and then you raise so that when you approach your investor, you know what to say. in your pitch. Look, we had this target, we achieved almost this target or a bit more, which shows our impact, which shows our dedication to hitting our targets. So you have this story to tell. You're not just raising at any moment, oh, we're desperate, we don't have money, and we didn't hit our targets, and this and this and this. So you have to be very, very, very specific in your approach. And last, how much you're gonna raise. It's not the amount that matters, it's what you're gonna do with this amount and how you split every bit of this amount you're gonna raise to grow your business. So as an investor, when I see your financial projection, I have to believe that the $1 million you are raising is really very well and strategically planned to make you grow big. And of course, one very important point is okay, you can raise as much as you want if you have it planned very well, but bear in mind that giving too much money would lead to excessive dilution, and you would give away parts of your equity, of course. Yeah, let me just laser pointer. Okay, so far are we good? If you have questions, just open your mic and go ahead. Okay, so one question here is that entrepreneurs generally feel confused when they scale their business. They're not sure who to approach. So if you are in this um very beginning step of your business, pre-seed, your typical raise, you can't expect to raise 2 million if you're in pre-seed stage or if you are in some continent rather than others. Because some pre-seed startups in Silicon Valley or in the US could raise 1 million, but then the amount targeted would differ from one continent to another. So being realistic at every stage of growth of your business is critical. And then the type of investors would differ from each state to another. So basically, at pre-seed and seed stage, we would more or less find family who believe in you, crowdfunding, online funding options, accelerators and incubators, which we'll talk about later. Some universities also provide funding through entrepreneurship competitions, business competitions, and wherever that come. Also, some early stage VC funds like Flat Six Labs in North Africa, and the good news now that Flat Six Labs is expanding its investment to the whole African continent, so it's dedicating some amount of its fund. So if you have your business, please go ahead and reach out to them, and yeah. So here, and then when you transition to Series A, B, you will target more late stage funds like African Invest, like Parcotech, like Nova Star City, and the list is long. I will send later a database of investors you could reach out to so that you can have access to it. So here it's very important to ask yourself the question, when I am approaching an investor and I am at a pre-seed stage, what are my investor expectation? At pre-seed and seed stage, you might have not validated your product or service in the market. You still have not very huge traction to pitch. You don't have revenues. You're still in this phases where you're like validating your business model. You're trying to test the challenges, wherever would come within your way. That's a very huge step. So the question that would come to your mind is, what are you going to say to convince your investor? So at this very beginning of level, the investor is interested in knowing that would ask you this question actually. What makes your startup a startup? This might seem very like obvious, but it's very important, and many entrepreneurs skip it at a certain point. They would give you very nice ideas and this and this and this, but then where's your impact? If you're not making an impact, if there's no problem to a solution, if there's no innovation, then you're just a profitable company. You're not a startup. So yeah, you have to pitch your solution to the problem, your the strength of your team, how good and how good is your team? How are the skills? How the skills complement each other? How your experiences make of you a good entrepreneur and a good fit to this problem and to this business model that could grow in the future. And of course, you have to have a strong vision and you have to make me believe as an investor that you are a visionary entrepreneur. Sometimes it's not about how strong the idea is, it's about how you make me believe in your idea. Then at later stages, of course, these are valid for every stages, but then as you grow, I would expect more from you. I would expect that you can scale your products, you can scale your geographical expansion. At this stage, if you started selling some of your products or your service, I would expect that you tell me how many users you have, how did you progress, how many customers did you retain, etc. And then, of course, as you grow, my expectations will grow bigger and bigger to the point that at Series B, I would ask, how can I exit? How can my investment exit? Who is a potential acquirer? Who are your market challenges? And how, as an investor, I can help you overcome these challenges. Okay, any questions before going to the next slide?
Thank you so much, Jaima. So far, I have liked how it is one of the hardest challenges to convince investors to invest the resources into your business, especially when it has not taken shape. So I've just learned something very important. So my question, as I look at what others are writing, is: so where do we start? Do you write a proposal or do you write a concept note?
Could you repeat the question, please, Kelvin?
I said that first it is very difficult to convince, especially investors, to give you
Yes,
money. And we are talking at a time when the economies are shaky.
yes.
So when what if I wanted to write or to sell my idea to investors? Of course, I've seen different clusters of investors from the pre-seed, seed, series A until B plus. So where do I start? Do I write my idea as a proposal or I write it as a concept note and share with the target investor or the people that I feel can really support my business? And I like the fact that you said that it is not about having a big idea, is having somebody to believe that idea. So where do I start as a business uh, novice? Thank you.
Okay. That's a good question, Kelvin. That's a question that is always common to investors. Where do I start and how do I start? So when you start, you should not target the investment itself. When you start with your business, and the first question that would come in your mind is, how can I best plan strategically my business model? So this is the problem. This is the market opportunity. Let's say, for example, your business is in Kenya. So whatever the idea is, so the total addressable market in Kenya is 12 million. What I can capture from this market is $2 million. And next, how can I capture these $2 million? So this is a problem, whether it's very specific to Kenya or to Africa, and this how I'm solving this problem. And then this is how I will generate revenue from solving this problem. So when reaching out to investors, you are always equipped with your small baby, which is your pitch deck, which is your story. This story is like you have to perceive it as a baby. So your pitch deck and your business are your two babies that would grow with you as you grow. Every step you would undertake in your business, you will add it in your pitch deck. So it's like an updated version of your baby, okay? As he grows, we have to see this growth. At the very beginning, of course, there are no numbers that can speak your potential. There are nothing. There is an idea. How will you make me believe this idea? First, you have to do a huge research. I have to feel that you really master the topic you are talking about, not just you are excited about an idea that popped in your mind and you're like, okay, I feel this is exciting, this is a new, and you include to it some like vocabulary of AI, machine learning, the market is nice, na 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 na, and then just like bear in mind, entrepreneurs, that investors, I think average on day we meet like 20, 30 startups through many channels, whether they reach out on LinkedIn, whether on email, whether introductions from other network. So like we receive many ideas every day of many different stages and many businesses. So I would quickly detect if you're just excited about your idea and you haven't made a good research. So you have to master the topic you're talking about. And let's say, what do we mean by research? Of course, not just the problem and the solution, but who are your competitors? How did your competitors and how do other business models have solved this problem? And then you would say, okay, so there's A, B, and C that did exactly the same thing. They solved the problem, but they failed at this point and point and point, or I look at this point differently, so this is where my added value would come. So I am coming at this very specific point. I would like to add value to it. I'm not bringing a very new magic way of solving things. I'm just adding my touch to this thing. Of course, you can bring a very new solution, but then if you're bringing something new, no one has done it before, you have to convince me with it also. You have to convince me that you know very well what you're doing and you have enough experience. Because if you spent your whole life doing sales or doing something which is completely different from your idea, then I would ask you, what would make you believe in you as an entrepreneur? Like, you've done sales, you're good at sales, okay, you are a good profile. But if you are constructing a drone or something to capture the agriculture and or a drone for insurtech, cybersecurity, wherever, what would make me believe you are equipped enough to to t- to grow this model? What would make me believe that you're not just telling me a story to have money? And because nowadays we see a lot of people share on LinkedIn, like the entrepreneur title has become a very nice thing to have, but not necessarily everyone is equipped enough to be an entrepreneur. It's a challenging journey. That is like at every stage is challenging, even when you have funding and then later to grow, and then especially in Africa, we have to be honest to ourselves that we face a lot of challenges, whether in Tunisia, ourselves, like North Africa, or in other parts of Africa. It's always challenging with the currency devaluation and with the infrastructure and economy itself, which is also a strength point. That's why I believe in the African potential, because as much as we have challenges, as much as we have problems, as much as we can have solutions for them. And the ground is still not very competitive. So if you put your steps on a firm and like let's say where there isn't enough competition, so you can really take over and nail it. Anyway, so yeah, Kelvin, just to answer, there's no like one point. It's just about you being firm and you being consistent, believing in your ideas, doing your research very well, and then starting to validate your product or service. You test it on the market, and then you hear the feedback of your customers, of investors. You keep like hearing and adapting your business model, and then within the way you reach out to investors. This is what I'm doing. Okay, now if you don't want to invest in me, don't. But I believe that my idea will grow, and I will keep you updated with my progress along the way. Whenever you feel that you could be a fit, you could be an added value, because the investor has to be an added value to your model. Then you keep updating him with your progress, and then at a certain point, believe me, if he sees potential and he sees enough consistency and growth despite any challenge that that would come within the economy or the currency or whatever, he would still put his money into it. Yeah. So yeah, and we'll go
Thank you.
later to other slides talking about like uh how to pick your investor, your like the investor that would match your model. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We can move on to the
Yeah. Welcome,
next.
Kelvin. Yeah. So yeah, here I thought about quickly introducing the difference between incubators and accelerators. So basically, these two entities do not really take equity in your business. Some accelerators would ask for some share of equity, but the majority would not ask. So these two entities are your go-to person if you're pre-seed, seed stage. They are a huge added value because they will help you format your idea and transition from this idea to a product or service, and then from product and service to the market. So yeah, this is basically the added value of incubator and accelerator. And then now we're talking real investors that would take shares from your business, which are the angel investors and the VC. So the most complex process is, of course, the VC. Let me just take my laser pointer. Is the VC. Angel investors are just people with huge experience that make the process easy for you. You can discuss informally with them, and you can even negotiate the equity percentage that they would take in exchange for cash, and that's it. For the VC thing, for the venture capital, it's much more complex. So it's a whole process that could take even 1 year to validate the investment, and your pitch and your negotiation skills have to be really mastered, because you're talking with like very experienced investors in the field who see like lots of deals every day and invest in very few. So standing out from the crowd is challenging, but is a critical part for you to grow. Okay. So now, maybe Kelvin, this would also answer some of your question. Where do I start? Here, where do you start? I will ask you questions that would give you a perspective on how you can start and from where. And these questions, actually, if you go like to entrepreneurship competitions or to pitching competitions, at the end of the competition, In general, there is a Q&A part for the judges or for the investors. And basically they will ask you these questions that popped in their mind. So first, is there a real problem? Are you solving a burning problem that truly matters, or it's just a nice to have idea? Many business models are just nice to have, but not necessarily solve a problem. So you have to prepare yourself for this, because sometimes entrepreneurs get offended when we just stop at the end of the pitch deck and we ask them, okay, I got your idea, but w- where is your impact? Well, where is your added value? Where this is just a nice business plan, a nice profitable plan, but then I'm not convinced with the impact, with the sustainability, with the business model. So you have to prepare yourself with this idea. And then is your solution unique? Because as I said, like we investors see a lot of business models every day, very innovative, very good business models where we're updated with everything that happens within the market, whether in Africa or in other continents. So when you are pitching your idea, directly in my mind, I would be like, okay, what's new about your solution? Because I've seen this many, like several times. I've seen many business models that replicate your model. Many models with this idea haven't succeeded. So why would you succeed? Why would you succeed? And sometimes, yeah, sometimes investors are very tough, but it's just because when you see a lot, you you can easily capture whether there's a unique solution or not. So you have to be prepared for this. And then a very important question is, how big is the market? Okay, this idea could be very good to solve a problem in Kenya, but then when you hit series A, B, can you expand geographically? Will your idea succeed in Nigeria, let's say, or if you bring your business model to Tunisia, will it succeed? Not necessarily it's your target to expand to other geographies, but how big can you grow? How big can you aim for your business? And then, of course, most important is your numbers. Numbers have to speak. At the very beginning, you don't have numbers. You could have projections. Projections. You could say, okay, maybe in the first month, I can have 20 customers. The average customer will buy like with $1,000. So my average revenue would be this and this and this. Seeing my expenses in marketing, na 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 na. So I would be hitting 100, whatever. But you have to tell a story with your numbers, even if they are negative, even if they are so bad. But even bad numbers could speak a story of challenges and could show how dedicated and committed you are to your business. Then is your business model solid? So how does your startup make money and is it sustainable to grow? This is very important. This is really very important and it is asked at almost any pitching competition or in every introduction model. How can you grow with this business model? How this like retention fee or how you generate revenue, how would you scale with it? And last but not least is the team. Although it may seem like not very important, but trust me, on our Monday meeting when we introduce certain startups we in our pipeline to consider investing in, one part of the introduction is dedicated to the team. So we introduce profiles of all the team members. Why? Because this matters, because the investor would be with you for 2 or 3 years, would be in contact with your team. So the effective communication with the team has to be smooth. Even if you have the best business model ever and you have the best idea, you have the best investors with you, If you don't have this good communication skill that would make me feel that my communication as an investor would be smooth with you, I wouldn't invest. Because at the end, we are human beings, despite the fact of being investors, and human communication skills have to be really good with a team. Otherwise, this would make it harder for us to interact with you and to invest. Despite the fact also that the skills have to be matching. y- w- You can't have a team all of all engineers. There has to be a marketing guy, a sales guy, a product owner, a designer. It has to be diverse for your business to grow. Because if you're all engineers, okay, that's good. Because we know that the technology side of your business is gonna be strong, but then what about the rest? How will you market your idea? How will you sell to your clients? How will you uh, contact your investors? This is a whole team thing that is very important to investors, the team. Okay. Any questions?
Sifao, you can go ahead and ask a question. I can see your hands up.
Okay. Thank you, Ma, for so thank you so much for the insight so far. I just have one question. I know it's quite challenging, like when sourcing for fund or pitching your ideas to investors. I just want to know what are the common, like the most common mistakes startup an entrepreneur make when seeking for fund or pitching their ideas to investors, because you have two scenarios. Can that be a yes or a no? So I just want to know that the common mistakes startup do make when they are seeking for funds.
Um, okay. Sifao, at the very beginning, I didn't hear you very well. So your question is, what is the common mistake?
Yes, do startups or entrepreneurs make when seeking for fund or pitching their ideas to investors, like the common mistakes?
Okay, so let me just reformulate your question. So the common mistakes that entrepreneurs do at the beginning when they are talking to their investors, right?
Yes, yes, ma.
Okay. The common mistakes that for entrepreneurs in general at the beginning, that they are just eager about having money in their business. And they give the impression that we're here to have money. We're not here because we believe that this money will make us grow, and they don't strategically plan each penny where it will go to. So in the pitch deck at the beginning of your business, if you are raising $300, for example, you have to tell me exactly these $300, each dollar where it will go to. So you could say out of these $300, $100 would go to product design and product development. $50 would go to hiring new employees. $50 would go to marketing. The 100 rest of the 300 would go to renting a warehouse, buying equipment, investing in the business. So I have to believe first that my money is going to make you grow. One. Second common mistake is that entrepreneurs sometimes they're just very excited and they could tend to be very arrogant about their idea because they might not have seen like many ideas that are happening in the market, and they would come and very excited, I have this idea, I believe in it, I'm doing it. Yes, but I have seen 100 like your ideas. So what is the distinguishing point about your model? And generally they don't prepare themselves for this question, and they just go ahead and start talking. Okay, where is your added value? How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? That's a very common mistake that comes at the very beginning of every like business model that would approach investors. And three, some uh, some entrepreneurs do not make enough research about the problem fit, the product fit of their product or service. So my question is sometimes to entrepreneurs, okay, have you seen X product that didn't work for these and these and these challenges? So how do you think will you overcome these challenges with your product and still be able to generate money? So let's say you are a neobank in in a country in Africa that has a huge currency devaluation, and you are taking loan debts with hard currency from the US. So I once came across a business model that is like a fintech that is given grants and loans to artists and this and this. That's good. Okay, the idea is not bad since you're impacting and you're encouraging artists in Africa. But then they are taking debts from America, and so they are given back the debt in hard currency, but with an African currency. And what happens here with the currency devaluation that you find yourself bankrupt in 2 years, 3 years, because you can't pay over. So at the very beginning, if your business model is based on something that could be hit very easily by the economy of your country, then you cannot expect that you will grow. Even if you have enough customers and you have great revenue, still you are hit by the inflation. And at the end, you will pay more than what you have to pay due to the devaluation, etc. And we have seen multiple models of this. So here, Sifao, to not like make it like not talk, not expand and not
Understand
go
that.
over the
Thank
topic,
you.
not go over
Yeah.
the topic. So this is an example of someone who doesn't master his business model and is just excited about the beauty of the idea of the startup, because the ecosystem and the startup thing is like, let's say for the 10 last years, 15 last years, it's a trend and topic. It's nice to have a startup. It's good to be entrepreneur. Many entities are encouraging this, but it's very easy also to fall in the trap of where you are not equipped enough, you haven't done your research enough, so that so that you can compete on the market later. Some grants, you can win some competitions at the beginning. Some people would come to you and say, "Oh, your family and your friends would encourage you and say, "Oh, you have a nice idea and this could grow and this and this and this." But then when you start going real into the thing, you start like having problems. And this is because the basis is not solid. So if the basis is not solid, I as a venture capital would detect it. Even like, that's why the role of incubators and accelerators is very important at the beginning, because an incubator would tell you, you have a problem with your business model, this cannot grow. So when I worked with Flat 6 Labs, it's an accelerator and a VC fund. Sometimes the meeting with entrepreneurs is very hard because you have to tell the entrepreneur in his face that the idea will not grow, that we've seen enough and this is not working and will not work the way. Of course, some entrepreneurs resist at the beginning, but then you can see the model falling, and that's why many startups do not make it. So yeah, I hope, Sifo, I gave you like uh, a quick idea, the mistakes that happen at the very beginning.
Yeah, thank
But
you, Ma. I
but
appreciate and I
just to
agree
conclude about the
100%.
mistakes, it's okay to make mistakes at the beginning. It's okay to make as much as you want mistakes, because it's a learning journey. That's why like investors and that's why incubators, accelerators are here just to guide the entrepreneur. Of of course, mistakes are to be learned from, but it's okay to fall and to adapt the idea to the market and to change your idea and your business model. Okay, I think we still have 8 minutes left, so I'll just wrap up by the funding process, which I find very important. And yeah, let me just share my screen. Yep. Okay. So last thing is the funding process. I tried to make it a bit interactive. Okay, so the first thing is to define the purpose of funds. Why are you funding? Okay, make me believe that you are funding because you will develop your product, you will expand, you will hire, whatever. Then two, you set targets, specific targets, as I explained later with the $300. Each target
Yes.
have to be set specifically. Then prepare very well your material. Don't just rush to investors and you don't have anything in your hand. Carry your pitch deck, baby. Carry your numbers. Carry your negotiation skills wherever, but don't come with your hands empty. Number stock. So you have to build a very clear financial model of your past and future numbers with logic behind every number. Even if you don't have numbers, bring your projections and say, I believe that I can hit this and this and this in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You have to be clear, consistent, precise, and concise. Okay, and then plan your approach. Okay, this is very important actually. Plan, make the investor believe that you are very dedicated, that you are at time, you come to the meeting at time, you plan for every detail for the meeting. Also, master your negotiation thing. If you don't know what safe is, convertibles, you're new to the investment world, to the investment like packages, and then the investor or accelerator starts to negotiate, okay, I want to have safe, simple agreement for future equity. This is a type of financial investment. So you have to be prepared for all this. At a certain point, you will negotiate your business. You will give out your shares. So it's like when you buy a car and you have 20 millions and then the other proposes 30 and there's this negotiation of how much you can give and how much the other can give, and that's it. It's same for selling your shares to an investor. And then later, last and very important, updates keep bonds, because sorry but not sorry, entrepreneurs receive a lot of rejections, and the rejections should not keep you from updating this investor over and over again. Because if you are talking with an investor that invests in Series A and B startups and you are still in your ideation phase, don't believe that he will be super impressed by your model and he would decide to change his investment strategy just because your idea is good. No, he would say no, but your role here comes in updating the investor and keep in contact with the investor, because when you grow, you can get back to this investor. So never take no as a no. Take it as a not yet. Take it as maybe a yes. Take it as let's keep growing until I see enough potential and we can invest. So never take a no as a no, and always like keep updating the investor with your updates and progress. Okay, I think I'll stop at this level because I've prepared also something about the pitch deck, and we can have them in another session.
No, you can go. You can go on. We have a few minutes. You can. Yeah,
Few
we can
minutes?
continue.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Okay, then I'll just how to choose Papa. Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Here is the pitch deck. Pitch deck. Nailing your pitch deck is a crucial step, I would say. Is really a crucial step. As I said at the very beginning, it's not about how nice and how exciting your idea is, but it's how how structured and how good you are at telling your story. Okay, I'm not gonna cover all the parts the pitch deck has to include, but mainly this part and some parts exactly. So the first part that I would like to emphasize on is the market opportunity. When let's say you didn't contact me as an investor, you just send me your pitch deck, and I'm scrolling through your pitch deck. I saw the problem, I saw the solution, and then I'm seeing the market opportunity thing. It's very important for me as an investor to see these three metrics: the sum, and the sum. The total addressable market, the serviceable available market, and the serviceable obtainable market. So this is how big the market I am working on. This is the segment, and then the sum is how much my business model can capture from this sum. So it's not just about telling me, okay, the African market in fintech and neobanks is about $3 billion and this, and yeah, I don't care about the whole African market if you are just working on the Nigerian market. So out of this 12 billion market in Africa, the Nigerian market is 5 billion, and what I can capture from this market is actually 1 billion. Now you are realistic, and now you are telling me that you are a realistic entrepreneur with defined goals and objectives. Then the product. The product, as I said, the USP is very important. At the beginning, I'm not gonna see your traction, I'm not gonna see your numbers, but I will see the USP of your model. I have to be convinced to what extent your model is unique. I have to see a competition benchmark. I have to see your model, other models, and how you differ from it, from the other competitors. Then the marketing and sales. Okay, you can have. Is there a question?
No, just
Hello?
go on.
Okay. Then here, the marketing and sales strategy. The marketing is a huge part. Your idea is good, the problem is good, you started selling, na na na. But then how are you attracting customers to buy your product? How are you attracting clients to get your service? If your marketing strategy and sales strategy, your go-to-market strategy is not consistent enough, then you will not have clients. You will not have customers. You don't have customers, you don't have traction, and the business model falls into the water. So this is very important. And this is asked at almost every meeting we have with entrepreneurs. How are you attracting your customers? What's your strategy? Is your strategy working or not? Is it attracting enough clients or not? And last but not least, the ask amount, which we talked about at the very beginning, the why and when and how are you gonna use your funds, how much exactly, which is very important. And this comes at the end of the pitch deck, just so that the investor has in mind how are you going to use his money, because again, it's his money and he has to see how can you grow with this money. Okay, I think let's stop at this level, and I would like to hear if there are any questions.
Perhaps just as members structure their questions. First of all, so far I have learned personally a lot in terms of how to. It is very difficult to get money from somebody's pocket to run an idea who they they may not see the returns as quickly as possible. So perhaps I could ask a question of cutting across. So how do you, an entrepreneur, a startup, ensure that it has a very, very grounded strategy to accept feedbacks, like
Accept
no
feedback.
feedback of a no, and of course, I have learned that from now henceforth, when I'm told no, I am not going to take it as a complete no. So, so how do a startup strategically accept such feedbacks? Because they, for sure, they will happen for many occasions until the projects or for example, the idea shape up. So strategically, in a brief way, how can a startup stand their strategy?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Now we're talking about like the behavioral finance aspect, the human the human aspect behind the entrepreneur. It's as simple as that, Calvin. I won't lie to you. Like, entrepreneur has to go to the market with a complete modest mindset. I'm here, I have an idea, and I would take any feedback that comes within my way. Because if you are new to this field, bear in mind that you're not the only one and you're not the best, and many ideas are in the market. So accepting feedbacks is what would make you grow more than how good you are or how skilled you are or how many network you have. Feedback is very crucial for entrepreneurs to grow. And I think it's okay at the beginning to have this attitude like that rejection is rejection and is bad felt. It could make you doubt yourself. It could make you like be disappointed, lose some hope. But I believe that a good entrepreneur who believes in himself and his idea would keep going and would take a no as a not yet, and would continue growing and get back later to that investor who told him no, and tell him, okay, I believe that that no came for a reason, because I was at this level, I wasn't good enough at that point, but now I am good. And and that and that actually is really good, because an entrepreneur with this attitude makes an investor really impressed and really eager about helping him, because he's not just an arrogant sort of an entrepreneur that just wants to validate his idea no matter what. So so yeah, it's all about the attitude, and taking the feedback as a constructive feedback. Of course, there are sometimes people that would just try to put you down out of nowhere. But if an investor is giving you feedback, embrace it the way it is, and believe that if someone didn't said no, it has to be for a reason, not just personal or because you are not a beautiful entrepreneur, but it just um, it's happening for a reason, and work on that reason and then get back to that entrepreneur and tell him this.
That
So
that
yeah,
is
that's
that's clear. So I've checked in the box. It seems that our members and participants are understanding everything. And for sure, you have been very brief and crisp, and your explanations have been simple. So that might have not attracted questions. So unless you have more wisdom you want to give us, we have come to the end of the session. So
okay.
perhaps
Thank you
you
so
would
much.
want to tell us
And
something. Yeah.
um yeah, I think I there is still a lot of information to cover. We can think about this in next episodes. I would be happy to share more, to do very like exact specific sessions for dedicated topics. On my
Sure.
side, I've dropped here my email and LinkedIn in case you want to contact me directly for some piece of advice. I can be your go-to person, honestly, if you seek some advice or anything. I'll be more than happy to do it. And please, yeah, feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you so much. And I understand that you're one of our members.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
one of our members, and we
yeah.
will engage with you and the rest as we move forward, so that we make Sustainable Africa a vibrant and a more resourceful institutional organization moving forward. So thank you
Yes,
so much.
definitely.
You have
Thank
been very
you.
resourceful, and I must admit
Thank you.
that you personally, I have learned a lot. I know it is not easy sometimes to um, spare some time during a weekend after very hard and busy weeks that you face and participants face every day, especially um, when we are talking about economies and starting an idea and young people trying to come up with an idea, and we don't have that strong heart to accept a no and continue until we take shape. So I thank you so much. We don't take your time for granted, both you and our participants. We will keep you a loop. We'll engage you so that we can also move forward, because as Them Africa, as you know, we are working around the clock to develop skills and innovation skills among young people in Africa. So, and you being one of the young people, we are so glad that we work together. At least we change the script and we bring the solution we need to our societies. So I want to thank our members and participants who have attended. Follow each other. I have actually connected. Chaima, I've already connected with you. You will accept. I know when you made it. So on your LinkedIn, I have connected with
Yes,
you, and I will also connect with other
yes.
members who are here. So follow
I'll
Sustain
I'll send
Africa.
again. I'll send again my LinkedIn if you want.
Fine, fine. But I connected already. As for me,
Okay.
I've connected. Yeah. So I would wish to take this opportunity before I conclude fully to invite our director of programs, Baba Abubakar, to say a word. Then we can close down the session. Baba, are you here with us?
Yeah, actually, thank you all for joining us today, for your insightful contributions. Together, we are laying the groundwork for a transformative future in African education. Let's continue to innovate, collaborate, and drive meaningful change across the continent. Thank you, Kaima Malik, for sharing your insight today. We really learn a lot, and we look forward to having more engaging sessions like this one. Uh, I want to send a special shout out to 𝐿𝐷𝐄 and Sifau Nasu for facilitating this session, and all the members that have joined. So thank you for attending today, and I really hope that you put in what you learn into actual actions, not just attending the session, but really implementing what you learn here. So thank you, everyone. And our next session is going to be on marketing and branding, which is the fourth episode of the Entrepreneur's Toolkit webinar series. So thank you all for attending, and let's meet in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baba, for that wonderful sentiment. So at this particular time, I want to wish you all blessed Saturday wherever you are, and let's keep learning and let's implement some of these ideas that we learn. Um, bye,
Okay. Great. Thank you. Bye bye.
bye.